Set my violin aside here, and we're going to discuss rosins. Got my new bow here, and I'll be playing in a second there. Actually, I really like it so far. I got two rosins here to show you. Oops, and they're both out of their packages. I'll show you the packages first, and then I'll show you the rosins second. Sorry, not the best setup here. The first one I'm going to show you is the one I've been using for a long time. I'll just close the box. And this here is Hide Rosin number 3V violin, world famous improved rosin made in England. I've had this for a long time. I don't remember what it was worth, but it's one of the upper end rosins. So probably anywhere from $15, $20 to probably $35, maybe. But it's a very dark rosin. I'll show you. It's like a chunk of coal there. I've been using this for a while, and you see my wear spot. I tend to use from that. After a while, you can melt these down and recast them if you can find something, like a cap or something to recast them in. You can do it if they get too small. But that's a very aggressive rosin. Now, the next rosin I'm going to show you, I just picked up. And this is handmade in Germany, set in 1798, Paris-Trio, Mesquite, gold rosin, art number 300. So that's that one. So if you want to track that one down, and this one cost me $13.25 plus tax, and that's that rosin. Now this one's a lot lighter, and I need a light rosin right now. So that's one side of it, and then on this side, here we go. Now for comparison, the Hide rosin versus the Paris-Trio. Lump of coal. That almost looks like a piece of, like a Werther's original. Like I really am tempted to take a bite out of it because it looks tempting. And that, it's all shiny. So you can see. And there's even lighter rosins that, in fact, I thought this was going to be lighter. But it's pretty good. It's probably like a medium rosin. There's a heavy rosin that's a medium rosin. Now, usually when you buy a beginner bow, most people say the rosin that comes with it, chuck it away. What happens with rosins, for what I notice, especially here in the winter when it gets really cold and dry, we're in the spring now in March, but when it gets really cold and dry, the violin squeaks like uncontrollably squeakiness. The rosin is just too aggressive. And what I do is I typically wipe down the strings after playing or whatever, or after freshly rosining the bow. I'll play a little bit and then I'll wipe down the strings with like a piece of, Kleenex or something. Just to top the strings, not to take everything off, but just to lightly wipe the main loose residue. And that smoothens it up. But after I do that, if it's still really aggressive and really squeaky, then that means I probably have to go to the lighter rosin. Now, the lighter rosin works very well right now this time of year. So in the wintertime, I'll probably be using this on this specific bow, and then I might have another bow, my other bow for the heavy rosin. Now, one thing they say, though, they being other professional players, is that during the summertime, the light rosin is almost too sticky. You need something a little more stiff. So this tends to work better in hotter climates. This tends to work better in colder climates. Humidity and dampness, again, you have to play around. Right now, we're at the damp type of the year because we're in the spring. But so far, less squeaking. And I know when the squeakiness is from my playing, and I know when the squeakiness is from the rosin. Now, the strings I have on my beautiful line head violin here are... what are they? Geez, they are virtuosos, resin virtuosos. And these are like $100 strings. For a guy like me, that's expensive. But when I first put them on, it was just kind of coming on to winter. And they were fine. And then they started about mid-January, they started getting really squeaky, stuff like that. And I wiped them down as much as I could, and they were really, really squeaky. Now, I just put this on, and let me give you a little bit of a... So it's not really overly harsh. It's a smooth rosin. I like it. My playing notwithstanding. So yeah, the rosin discussion. what rosin you pick, maybe you have to buy a couple. I know there's a lot of people, well, I can only afford a little bit right now. I got a student violin. If you're in, again, what people were saying, that if it was really hot out, maybe go with the darker rosin. If it's not, if it's really like the middle of winter, maybe you need a lighter rosin. I've talked to people that have mixed the two. You know, they melt it down, they kind of make their own, you know, Frankenstein rosin and stuff like that, but that's a different topic for a different time. But I think it might not hurt to buy a couple of different ones and try them out. You know, expensive rosin versus cheap rosin, it depends on a few other things. Let's say you love playing violin, but you get itchy eyes and you know, you break out in rashes because you're actually allergic to the rosin. Well, these aren't hypoallergenic, but you can get that. So for those people that are more sensitive to stuff like that, you can get hypoallergenic rosins. I don't know what kind of money they'd be, but they're probably going to be, you know, in the most rosins, even the extreme stuff I've seen, maybe not extreme, but the more expensive I've seen in the you know, $45, $50 range. 30, I'd say the average price anywhere from $5 up to $15 is probably what most people buy. Again, this is 13 something. I don't know what this was. I remember because it was my mom and dad that bought it for me for Christmas, and they said it was a really good one. So really good one meant they spent, you know, they bought the expensive one. So yeah, so it was probably maybe $40 over. So I don't know if that brand's still around, but the idea is that the different densities of rosin will give you different performance. So typically the darker, the heavier the rosin, probably better in cold, that type of thing, but or better in warmer weather, but squeaky in the really dry dead of winter. Whereas the other one, the lighter rosins, better in the winter because it's not quite so aggressive, so a little bit less squeakiness, but a little bit too soft for the summer or the really humid times, so that type of thing. So, you know, things to consider. So anyway, just a short little discussion on the rosins. And yeah, I like doing videos like this because it opens up the debate. Again, jump in on it if you think I got anything wrong, by all means. You know, comment on it. If you have tried stuff that was really successful on yours in, you know, from different climates, like somebody in South America is going to have probably a different set of problems than I'm going to have. My big problems is wintertime here, you know, dryness, you know, over dryness. And that over dryness can lead to cracking and what have you, and also a lot of squeakiness. The summertime where it's really a lot of humidity, like July, August type of thing, where it's like, you know, completely sweatathon. Humidity is so bad that, you know, the fiddle doesn't want to stay in tune, that type of thing. So there's kind of like the magic time of the year where, most of the year where you can kind of get away and it stays in tune good. But when it went from like minus 38 and then, you know, on an average day to like say minus 26 to minus 38, it stayed in that realm. It stayed in tune, no problem. Then there was one day it went like minus 4 or something like that. Went out of tune, you know, like that type of thing. But the characteristics changed whenever you tuned it up. You know, it became less squeaky. So just again, different. And sometimes in the summertime too, what I found with my other fiddle, because I haven't had this one in the summer yet, is that it just completely deadened the sound because there was just so much humidity. It was, you know, like in wintertime you need to humidify it. I do have a little humidifier for one of these, but in the summertime it's the opposite. You need to dehumidify it. So. That type of thing. And your rosins, again, will tend to make a difference in your sound. So, all right, so there we go. Yeah? All right, good day, hi, and welcome. So, I'm just going to set my violin aside here, and we're going to discuss rosins. Got my new bow here, and I'll be playing in a second there. Actually, I really like it so far. I got two rosins here to show you. Oops. And they're both out of their packages. I'll show you the packages first, and then I'll show you the rosins second. Sorry, I'm not the best setup here. The first one I'm going to show you is the one I've been using for a long time. I'll just close the box. And this here is Hydrosin number 3V violin, world famous improved rosin made in England. I've had this for a long time. I don't remember what it was worth, but it's one of the upper end rosins. So probably anywhere from $15, $20 to probably $35, maybe. But it's a very dark rosin. I'll show you. It's like a chunk of coal there. I've been using this for a while, and you can see my wear spot I tend to use from that. After a while, you can melt these down and recast them if you can find something like a cap or something to recast them in, and you can do it if they get too small. But that's a very aggressive rosin. Now, the next rosin I'm going to show you, I just picked up, and this is handmade in Germany, set